What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday. You know what that means. It's time for the main line. Tonight, we review last week's Dynamite. We give an update on Arn Anderson's health. We review the road to new beginning, and we preview tonight's Impact Wrestling. Dan, hit our music. What up, everybody? Again, welcome to the main line. As always, main line is brought to you by Manscaped. Precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Now available in the UK. Once I nicked my Master Watto while I was shaving, never again, because now I have the ceramic blade on this lawnmower. You should get one too, and you can do that by going to manscaped.com and using our promo code ML2020. Get yourself some crop preserver. Take care of your basement, guys. What is up, everybody?
What's going on?
How's your weekend?
It was pretty good. Again, no complaints here. I watched a little bit of New Japan, hung out Saturday,
big
and then
fight.
Oh yeah, big time.
You know it.
Yeah, I had a great
Conor
weekend.
McGregor got KO'd.
I know that surprised me. I didn't see that coming.
He looks old.
Yeah,
Old.
if you watch MMA, check out Cage by IQ. We filmed it last night, but you can check it on YouTube and Twitter and even on Facebook on the Buzz. So check it out.
So we're doing something a little bit different today. We're pre-recording. And when there's a special reason we're pre-recording is because we have a big interview when we normally would have the main line. Daniel, can you tell us about who you are interviewing tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow at 8, I'm interviewing.
Or today, right after this episode airs.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
For the viewer.
Yes, but today I am interviewing the new addition to the New Japan roster, and then he's also the MLW middleweight champion, but his name is Lio Rush. And then you can check that out tonight, Wednesday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time, as me and Drew will be interviewing him about his recent time on MTV's The Challenge. And then, of course, just like I said, he just debuted a couple weeks ago on MLW, and he'll be debuting this Friday on New Japan Strong.
You guys have been doing a series of interviews with those challenge contestants, haven't you?
Yes. It started out as one thing where it was like, oh, I got Wes Bergman. He's a legend on the challenge. And then it just turned into one after another, just a bunch of people answering back. Being gracious to give us their time, and then just having fun with it. So
things are buzzing, as we like to say.
I mean, it's great. Yeah, big news.
So we had some wrestling since we last talked to our fans. And by the way, guys, if you're watching this, we can't answer you live like we normally do, but please leave comments. Please search us out on Twitter. Leave comments in the Facebook post. We'll try our best to answer them all.
Yep.
So first off, we had Dynamite. We had, as we went off air last week, we were talking about how Hangman Page was going to give the Dark Order an answer. And Hangman, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and Colt Cabana defeated Luther, Serpentico, and the Hybrid 2. But unfortunately, after the match, Hangman said no. They preemptively had a big celebration. Horns went off. Dancers came out. A big sign came out that said he said yes, but he didn't say yes. He said no. What do you guys think of this segment?
And no pun intended, he left them hanging.
I gotcha. It took me a minute, but it was good. It was funny.
No, but I kind of seen it coming as the match was going on, because he just looked that way. He looked like confused, concerned, and then it's a nice way to play off into his character, because he did make the mention. It didn't work out for me in my other group. I don't think it's going to work here. I should just be alone, and then I'm interested to see where he goes from here.
Yeah, I am too, Daniel. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad he didn't. No disrespect to the Dark Order, but I think you got to embrace him. You got to keep with this big major push because he is that star caliber. And that talking about Hangman Page, I mean, I think the sky's the limit for all the potential that he has. I mean, he's established, but he can go to all new heights as far as I'm concerned.
You guys don't think that this is just kind of giving you a little bit more anticipation to when he eventually does join the Dark Order? Like, you can't see the Dark Order in trouble and Hangman coming out to a giant pop once we get crowds again to save the Dark Order and join them.
Well, he can come out and help him out. That's one thing, but he's aligned with them, but he's not joined with them. If that makes sense, like he can go out there and help, but he's not going to be a part of them because he's still his own person. And then he feels like it never works out well when he joins a group or he's part of something. He's like the lone cowboy. That's what his future nickname should be, the lone cowboy.
That's true. That's a great point. I'm all for that. But yeah, I'm with Daniel. I think he ought to be alone. I don't know that he needs a group anymore. I mean, because you could get him, in title matches. I think put him in that position and just book him that way. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, if I were fantasy booking right now, what I would do is you'd eventually have some form of the Bullet Club beating on the Dark Order and Hangman coming out to save the day. And like you said, transition to that title match with Kenny, because the rematch between those two, I think, would be huge.
Yeah, they never really had closure to it, so.
Yeah, true. I mean, there would be a lot you could do. So I'm with that. I think that would be what everybody wants to see as a Page Omega match. Yeah.
So after that, we had a little promo where Sting came out to congratulate Darby, and Team Taz came up on the Jumbotron, and they challenged Sting and Darby to a street fight, which will be Sting's first televised match in 5 years? Was it 2015? Is that correct?
Yeah, back when Rollins, that match. Yeah.
So it looks like this is going to go down at Revolution on February 27th, so almost a month from now. I'm sure this will be a cinematic match. This is pretty much exactly what we wanted, and we're getting it.
Yeah, you're going to have a match where they're going to try and make it look like, Sting is doing a lot more than what he is. But as you know, he can't take that much bump. So they're going to find the way around it by just doing the cinematic route. That's why they're fighting in the streets. And then you'll probably see Darby do majority of the work on his side, and then Sting's going to get his here and there. They're going to find a way to get Sting out of the match for a while, so all the focus is on Darby. That way, you can kind of make it believable that way, where he's not taking much punishment because maybe they take him out early with a couple of things, and then the majority of the match would be that. Then say he comes back later on, and then they pick up the victory somehow.
Yeah, that's true. I think cinematic's the way to go. I love Ricky Starks. Everybody gets caught up in Brian Cage, and rightfully so. But to me, Ricky Starks is the guy. I mean, that's who I like.
I got my Brian Cage pin.
Where's your Pretty Ricky one?
I don't have a Pretty Ricky one yet.
You got to get one.
I got to see Pretty Ricky at a show. So, yeah. I think this will be fun stuff.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, I agree. Starks is to me, he's the guy. Yeah.
What do you think the chances of Sting dropping down from the rafters is during this match?
I think it's going to be maybe slim if they just start out right in the streets, as they say. Mm-hmm. So it depends on where the match starts out.
What's the over under on times Ricky Starks gets hit with a baseball bat?
2.
Yeah, shots. At least a few times. Yeah, got to have it because at least everybody's been complaining. Well, Sting, he's got to get physical somehow. Well, that's a good way to do it, just the baseball bat. But eventually, they're going to have to, and cinematically, be able to get some of that heel heat on him because that's the only thing. And as much as I'm a Sting supporter, I like what Team Taz is doing. So eventually, you got to have the villains getting the good guys, don't you?
Yeah, you'd think maybe they'd put Sting on the shelf for a couple weeks or something like that.
Yeah, and just come back, bring the snow and the Game of Thrones entrance and the arrival theme, and let's go, man. We're rocking it. Yeah, absolutely.
So we had another segment after this. We had the Young Bucks meeting with Don Callis at Kenny Omega's home. So this was quite the segment. As you can see, they saw this picture here with Don Callis and Kenny Omega, both with rock hard abs and in jeans as well, which is really nice. It's a fine photo.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece.
How long are they going to be signing that photo for fans at shows? Don Callis is going to be signing that for the rest of his life, I feel like.
Yeah, he's a businessman. Yeah.
So Don Callis comes to the Bucks, and the long and short of it is that Don Callis wants to pay the Bucks to get out of Kenny Omega's life. And the Bucks were not happy to hear this. And at this point, the cameramen went downstairs, but left the camera rolling on the table. And you were able to see what might have been the start of a confrontation, and it kind of cut out. I really enjoyed this segment. This was hilarious. Did you guys like it?
Yeah, I did. I liked it. Yeah, and I liked how it was like, "Oh, go," but leave the camera. It made it more believable. Like, oh, he's gonna put the camera right in front of where they're talking, and then they're like, "We made this money in a week." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, my bad. We got merchandise, this and that. But yeah. Here's this one." And they're like, "You know what?" And then you see him back up and fall, and then the camera goes black. You don't see anything that happens, so they make you believe when they cut back to it a few minutes later, when you see him in the locker room with the sunglasses on that segment where he's talking to Kenny Omega, and Kenny's like, "Take those glasses off. What is that?" He's like, "Who did that to you?" And then he just mentions the Young Bucks, like,
accidentally.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
I think he's playing it off as nothing. Like I think it's just paint or whatever that he put on his face, and nothing really happened. I think maybe he just trips over the camera and then they don't do anything, and he's just playing it off. So he's trying to protect them, but then not really. He's out to get him out of Kenny Omega's life.
Yeah, I think Callis sold it for me. To me, I've just been big on Don Callis because he's helped Kenny with the promo work. He's really making this story interesting because it's credible, it's real, because the Young Bucks and Kenny go a long way, and so does Kenny and Callis. And I like that, what you were talking about, Marvez. They say, what did Callis tell him? Take him to the dungeon, like, I guess, an ode to Stu Hart or something. I don't know, but that was funny. That was comical. And Marvez was like, no, where are you taking me? He was doing well with that. I know he gets criticized, but I think Marvez does a pretty good job. I mean, he takes a lot of heat, but he does a nice job.
Do you think they're rushing this at all? Like, could we have had Kenny and the Bucks maybe dominate AEW a little bit before they, Callis started driving a wedge so quickly between them?
I don't know if you could have, just because his relationship with the Good Brothers as well. You got to make some friction between those two, because I like how he's like, "Oh, we got to get rid of the old guard or say." And then in my back of my head, I'm like, well, the Good Brothers were even older than the Young Bucks. The Good Brothers came before the Young Bucks, but because they're on Impact, it's like kind of like a different story because he's on Impact. He's trying to make him more so an Impact guy, but use him to rise up the Impact viewership because the AEW champion's on there. So even though he does have that big relationship that dates back to forever with Kenny Omega, I think at the end of the day, the storyline is him using Kenny Omega for the viewership and the money.
Yeah, I like what they did with Callis and Omega screwing over Moxley, because he was sitting at the commentary booth and did a very nice job of kind of unexpectedly coming down to the ring side area. Moxley hit him, so there's an issue. And that, to me, and with JR and Shivani saying, I can't repeat what JR was calling him, but it was great. It took you back to some WWE there with Callis doing kind of their own version of a screw job. So that was nice.
So after we had that Young Bucks Don Callis segment, we had Cody Rhodes defeating Peter Avalon. Peter Avalon has been on a hot streak, but he lost here because he didn't want to get slapped in the face because he's pretty Peter Avalon
Yeah.
or something, right?
Yeah, his
Pretty,
looks, yeah.
He's the PG version of Val Venus.
I kind of thought this was dumb. I thought
I
this
didn't
was
think
like,
about that. Yeah.
I thought this was an opportunity for Peter Avalon to put on a better match. I don't like the finish. What'd you guys think of the finish?
No, I didn't like the finish either.
Yeah. And then let's not forget that they did mention that Shaq's going to respond to what Cody said.
Okay, well it's about time because Jade she came out there and distracted him enough, and Cody's kind of playing off to those distractions. If you've been paying attention, he's not as focused. Even the commentators are relaying that story. You've got to pull the trigger on Shaq at some point. I know his schedule is busy, but you keep having Jade Cargill, talking about Brandy. You got to see this delivered at some point.
So, like Daniel said earlier, after this match, we had Don Callis fingering the Bucks for his black eye. Then we had the Matt Hardy party defeating. Who did we have?
It was Top Flight and.
I was gonna say
Hybrid 2. Was that?
No, it was the.
No.
Right, it was Top Flight and what's his name? I forget his name on the Indies. Evan Bourne.
Matt Sydal.
Matt Sydal, yeah,
That's it. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
way
yeah,
off
that's
on Hybrid 2.
And then we got a picture from of Matt Hardy and that Private Party right here, the number one contenders to the Impact Tag titles right here. They have finally embraced Matt Hardy's tactics, and now they're starting to listen to him and to do whatever it takes, no matter what, to get the win.
Yeah, like you said, they used a chair here.
They did.
Cassidy used the chair on, and they did a little heel turn on being the elite. The Young Bucks came over and bitched them out for doing a heel turn when they're clearly baby faces. And then we had Matt Hardy, Money Matt Hardy, come out and stop the Young Bucks from tainting his talent with bad ideas. So you guys enjoy this Money Matt Hardy gimmick, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it gives Private Party an edge, and maybe this is what Matt Hardy needs to do to get away from all these gimmicks. I mean, he needs to reinvent himself again, so maybe this is just a good way to do it.
Yeah, just like I said last week or so, it's another hat to put on him to give him something new to do, and then it also at the same time it heightens up Private Party because they started to get a little stale on the babyface scene with all the babyface tag teams that they have, and it adds another heel team to it because they're technically not the prototypical heels. It's just that they're listening to the main heel and doing what he says to do, and it's getting them wins. So they're like, oh, if we keep winning, we're gonna keep on doing it. And then they of course use that tactic as well on Impact against Chris Sabin and James Storm, where they actually had Jerry Lynn come up and hold the foot, and then they got the victory with their finisher. And
go ahead.
And then you see Matt Hardy stand there with Tony Khan, and I could have swore he said, "That's why I'm Big Money Matt. I'm Big Money Matt."
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the storylines could have continued to build, though, even with this, with Matt Hardy and Private Party. But I think because the relationship with Impact, that's why maybe they decided to go along with it.
What are the odds of Private Party picking up those Impact titles?
That's a good question because you could go two routes with this. You can go the route where they lose, but they lose in a really good matchup, and then it doesn't hurt them too bad because it's Impact, and then they can just keep on building themselves on AEW, kind of like a separate entity. Or you could have the Young Bucks come out and cost the Good Brothers the tag titles, and then it get put on Private Party because of that. Yeah,
I think it's going to be Kenny that costs the Private Party the titles, or at least someone in Kenny's circle, because then you'll have the Young Bucks have to choose a side. They're trying to be mentors to Private Party, and they're kind of losing there. And Private Party's going to fall out, and you're going to have Tony Khan needing another tag team to go after the Good Brothers, and that's going to be the Young Bucks, don't you think?
Well, you could do that, or like I said, you could have them fall out, and then you could have the Good Brothers come after the Young Bucks and come after the AEW tag titles.
You got to make it interesting. Yeah.
I like your idea better, because that makes a star out of Private Party.
Yes. And then you don't have to keep the tag titles on them long. You can wind up having the Good Brothers win them back or something like that later on. But it kind of like makes a reason for the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks to clash, because they're both tag teams. They're both opposite in the sense that they're both good friends with Kenny Omega. It's just that you got older friends than current friends going after each other, and then that's going to create a wedge, and maybe Kenny Omega will side with the Good Brothers, and then you go from there.
Yeah, and it gives you that dream match too, because everybody's been talking, hey, when are we going to see it? The Good Brothers, Young Bucks, and then so forth. Yeah.
And then what's the chance of, if that happens, you got a future 3-on-3 match where the Young Bucks have to pick a partner, and then they pick Jon Moxley. They'd be their 3-on-3 partner against Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers.
I like that. That makes sense. Yeah.
Speaking of Jon Moxley, right after that Cody match, Jon Moxley defeated Nick Coramato. Is that how I say it?
I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed with this Nick Camarato. He kind of looks like Brody, the Bruiser Brody.
Yeah, throwback look. Yeah, he does, with the hair and everything.
The hair, he was big, he was strong, he was tossing Mox around. Like, for a loss, Mox kind of put this guy over.
Oh, he sure did. I mean, that's a big favor for Moxley. I mean, that says a lot about his character, letting this guy get those kind of moves in offense, but yet he's got to go over because he is Jon Moxley, and he's been a former AEW champion. He's one of your stars. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he did cut the promo right afterwards, basically saying, "I'm Jon Moxley." He was like, "I did win the title. The chase for the title is the biggest thing, and then you gotta hold the title, which is another thing." He was like, "Don't sweat on me." He was like, "I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna get that title back."
Yeah, he said all roads in wrestling lead to Jon Moxley.
Yep.
Yeah, so, how fun are his promos? I mean, that was good. Talking about Nashville up near my way, that was
a world better than his WWE promos.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because he can be creative. I think that's always been the knock on Vince and WWE. They're overproduced.
So we had, what was it? We had Penelope Ford defeating Layla Hirsch.
Yeah, which was another match where they focused on how good Layla Hirsch was, but then she had the interference on the outside. Painting the picture, you had Orange Cassidy sitting in the crowd. You had Miro and Kip Sabian with the butler, Chuck Taylor, out there. And basically, Miro was holding Chuck Taylor the whole time by the ringside, and then later Hirsch jumps right onto the three of them to knock them down because of their interfering in the match, which cost her the match against Penelope Ford, putting her over. And then afterwards, you had Miro cut the promo in front of Orange Cassidy, telling Chuck Taylor to say that Miro is my best friend and not you guys.
You guys should go on Orange Cassidy's Twitter and look at a video a young fan sent him that he was really concerned that hurt Orange Cassidy's feelings. And he wanted to tell him that he's his best friend, even if Chuck isn't his best friend anymore.
That's cool.
So you should go check out that adorable promo that little kid cut.
And then
go ahead.
No, you go.
No, Layla Hirsch is great, though. I love the way she throws around Penelope Ford, all her opponents. She's just so low to the ground, and she's just impressing me every time I see her. That's all I was going to add. But no, you're fine. I love doing these, the women's matches too, 'cause they're just as important.
And then they did announce that I think it's next week actually is the wedding for Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford at the themed Dynamite next week.
That's true. Yeah, it's coming up. It's amazing how fast these shows come up because we're watching so much New Japan. It's like, man, that Dynamite is coming up next week. Yeah.
Oh. I haven't researched it. Is that a kayfabe wedding or is that a shoot wedding?
I'm not sure. Yeah,
I think they're getting married in real life, but I'm not sure about this.
Something's gonna go wrong. Yeah.
So after that Penelope Ford Layla Hirsch match, we had some action backstage where the Good Brothers assaulted Penta, and they took out his eye. And also on Being the Elite, the Young Bucks criticized this. They were like, the Lucha Bros, they just super kicked us and you put them on the shelf. That's not necessarily eye for an eye, it's not equal. But the Good Brothers, assured, the Young Bucks that's just old school bizcliz. That's all they're doing. Old school bizcliz, because they don't have soft penises. They got hard penises. It was pretty much was the gist of it.
Wow, what a conversation. Yeah.
Well, you can go see it on Being the Elite. It opens the episode. It's pretty hilarious. So what do you guys think about the Good Brothers assaulting Penta? Where do you think they're going with this?
That's a good question because they did have the thing, was it last week where they came out? So it's tough to say where they're going to go. It could just be just like they said, an eye for an eye, and they just used Pentagon for it because he came out the other week, or it could be something where they tease like a Good Brothers against the Lucha Brothers.
Hey, that would be a great match. I would be all for that. And I was going to ask you guys, did he do the Mysterio spot where Rollins, did somebody get a wrench and take his eye out? Did we get the Extreme Rules?
It was
or whatever that pay-per-view
was. A very similar spot, kind of, but it wasn't a corner. Yeah, I believe they were using a foreign object.
Well, that's what I go back to. I mean, out of all the eye for eye matches, that's what I'm going to remember. Rollins throwing up after he did it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I tried.
The main event of that night, we had MJF and Chris Jericho defeating Sammy Hagar and Santana and Ortiz in an inner circle three-way here. So the finish had Wardlow kind of stopping Sammy Guevara from winning the match from his team, which allowed MJF to roll up Sammy Guevara. So a little trickeration here. They didn't even win it clean. Do you think this is going to result in Sammy breaking off from the group?
And let's not forget that they had like a backstage promo earlier where the MJF and Wardlow come into the locker room. Jericho wasn't there though. It was just Sammy, Jake Hager, and then Santana Ortiz. And he was like, I'm all about this. He's like, this is Inner Circle. I'm just wishing everybody the luck. We have to do this. Yada yada yada. And he pounds everybody. And then they're talking to Sammy. He was like, I understand you. You're straight shooting with me. I like that. It was like, but we gotta get this done. And then he goes to fist bump Sammy, and Sammy's like, we're not there yet. So he still questions him. And then, of course, in the match, Sammy had a very good match. And then at the end, like you said, Wardlow distracts Sammy when he's about to get the win, and then he goes and gets rolled up for the victory. And then you see MJF goes like this, and then they basically cut off because I think they're crunched for time at that point because they went over. But I think it's going to be a thing where Sammy's going to wind up being like, it's either him or me, and then they choose MJF.
I think, too, that Sammy and MJF will be in a feud. And also, you could set it up where it could be Santana and Ortiz joining him. I mean, there's different ways and scenarios we could theorize that where this could go. MJF could be a leader for the inner circle if Jericho chooses to step away. But I think you got to keep Jericho the leader or MJF and Wardlow end up teaming. I mean, there's so many ways. And then Hager, that's what's interesting to me, how you could go about this.
So I want to bring something up. You mentioned Jericho stepping away. Jericho's been getting a ton of heat on social media for the last couple of shows. He doesn't look great. He's looking a step behind. He's looking a little overweight, as we all are. I mean, come on.
Oh, heck, I'm one to talk, yeah.
COVID has had us all isolating and eating chips at home, so I don't necessarily blame Chris Jericho. And he had a lion salt, which didn't look that great, although I kind of thought another wrestler got in his way and he just did it as safely as he could possibly do it.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? Is Jericho still going strong, or does he need to get to the commentary table quicker than later?
I think he looks a little step behind. Of course, look at the age that he's at, and he's not getting any younger. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is. But I think that sooner or later he's going to do that, go to commentary booth, and then maybe do part-time. I know he doesn't like to, but he can pull it off to where he could be like a manager now for the inner circle.
Yeah, he could be a mentor role. And too, to that point, I think that Jericho may be playing some of us sometimes too. I mean, sure, he's slow, but hey, it's wrestling. He could be working us a little bit, but there's no denying he's not in the physical condition that he once was. But to your point, who is anymore, unless you're like The Rock or somebody, some genetic freak. And it's, that's pretty remarkable. But I think Jericho will do fantastic on commentary because he can play that entertaining heel.
I like that idea, though, Tyler. Brando Jericho. It's time for him to just balloon up as big as he can and put himself in title matches and just be like Marlon Brando was in the end of his career.
I'm making off and you can't refuse. There you go. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Still, no, never mind. We got to get off Brando. But
So, any other Dynamite thoughts before we move on?
Unless you guys have any, I think that covered a lot of it.
Yeah.
So we can't really give you a preview like we normally do of tonight's Dynamite because as of Tuesday when we're filming this,
I do know they have the wedding, and then you got the Thunder Rosa is going to face off against Britt Baker. I do know that.
I'm looking forward to both those. Yeah.
We also have Dark tonight as we're filming this. It'll be last night as you guys are watching this. I'm really excited for Danny Limelight versus Sean Maluta. These are two underrated dudes who can put on a killer match.
I think they're very talented, and you guys have had more, experience with Danny Limelight, but I've watched his New Japan stuff. The moves and the way his athletic ability is just amazes me. I've got to check that out. Yeah.
Oh, and also they're going to have Jungle Boy tomorrow against Dax Harwood. And they're going to announce a special stipulation for the match on when Dynamite goes live.
I think it'll be nice to see a singles match with those two guys. Yeah.
So, do you guys listen to the Arn podcast?
I do a little bit. I try to all those Conrad Thompson podcasts. I try to check out, but yeah, I love Arn, man, the Enforcer.
He mentioned something interesting on his podcast this week. He had COVID, and apparently it put him down. He was having trouble breathing. He said he was hallucinating. He said he saw ice forming on the ceiling while he was lying down. That's scary stuff, man. I didn't realize he was so sick.
I had no idea. Yeah,
so I guess he's recovered and he's back to work, so that's great news. Yeah. But just another reminder that we all got to take this pandemic seriously. Even though the end's in sight, we got to, wear our masks and stay isolated.
For sure.
Do everything right.
Social distance.
I mean, you got to, because here's the deal. I mean, just when you think, oh, I've got this thing figured out, that's what happens. Somebody ends up getting affected. So I'm with you guys.
So have you guys been watching your Road to New Beginning?
Yes, I have. Me and Daniel's actually been corresponding. Both me
Yeah.
and him, I think, are on the same pace. We're still catching up, and got I think the 25th's the next show.
Yeah, which is that's the show that they left off at yesterday, which I still got to catch up on. But other than that, I'm mostly caught up, and then I'm happy with what we've seen so far. I like the little throwback with having El Phantasmo come out to the commentary booth here and there. He started that I think on the 24th. Yeah, and then he just comes out, cuts his heel promos. I liked how he went in and he was like, "Oh, we start at 6 o'clock. I thought it was 6:30." Right after Suzuki Gun walks out from the match, and then he comes out, which is a heel move to avoid after their match that they had on the 23rd. If anybody doesn't know, the match was El Phantasmo and Ishimori against El Desperado and then Conrado.
Well, let's go through
tag
some
title.
of these results here,
Yep.
Daniel. So you guys watched Thursday the 21st. First we had Nagata and Tiger Mask defeating Tsuji and Makabe. Okan and Ospreay defeating Yamura and Kojima. Doki, Kanemaru, Desperado, Suzuki defeating Jado, Gato, El Phantasmo, and Ishimori. Gato's super jacked. What the hell's with that?
He's in great shape.
I don't
That's
know
what
what
they're
he's-
talking about.
I
Yeah.
don't know what he's doing, but we had Ishii, Goto, and Okada defeat Togo, Yujiro, and Evil. We had Bushi, Hiromu, and Naito, and Shingo defeat Sonata. Oh, and Sonata. So just LIJ defeating Wato, Sho, Honma, Tanahashi, and Ibushi. That was kind of a boring night Thursday.
Yeah.
The night you're talking about is Saturday the 23rd, which began with Doki actually getting a fall. Doki and Suzuki
Yeah, he did. He got to win.
defeating Jado and Gato. After the match, Suzuki said that Jado and Gato aren't enough for him. He wants one of the main Bullet Club guys. Who would you want to see Suzuki face in the Bullet Club?
I want to see him face Kenta.
That'd be fun.
That would be a great match. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Suzuki, man. He will fight his temper tantrums, get in a chair. I just love everything about the guy. He's an old school guy that just will fight. Even if he's getting beat up, he loves it. I mean, that's what I admire about him.
I know we got Okada kind of involved in this Evil feud, but I'd like to see Evil versus Suzuki. I think that'd be fun.
That would be good, yeah.
It'd work, yeah.
So we had the Great Okan and Will Ospreay defeating Kojima and Tenzan, but this was by DQ. Tenzan went crazy with a chair. I believe you got a picture for us, Daniel.
Yes, I do. The picture is right here.
So Tenzan's return match. Tenzan was fired up. And he got himself DQ'd.
Yep. He just went crazy. He broke the chair, and then they pulled the chair away, and then he had the chair thrown back in. He broke that chair, and then hit Khan again. And then you had Bray Priestley screaming on the outside.
Yeah, how great is she? No, go ahead, Gary. I
was just about to say the same thing you are. She's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, and she holds a women's championship, right? I'm still learning these things. Yeah,
they actually did mention it on that one. They mentioned that she was a Stardom champion. Okay. So they did mention. Usually, like you never hear them mention Stardom, but they mentioned it on commentary, which I caught that during the program.
Because it's competition. Is that the reason they probably don't acknowledge it? Yeah,
it's not competition. It's together. It's just that it's on a different network. That's why.
All right.
They're owned by the same card company, Bushi Road.
Yeah.
So like they sell trading cards and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool. Now, I will say, I guess I missed the first show. I thought I was doing good with the 23rd, but I guess there was one I missed earlier, but I'll just go ahead and skip that one. Yeah.
You didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
You did not miss anything.
Okay, that's good to know, because I'll definitely catch up with this last one that that me and Daniel still got to watch here.
We had an elimination match on Saturday. That was fun. And Honma actually won the match against Naito. It was Honma and Naito at the end. Honma got the better of Naito. which has to piss Naito off. Man, Homa really worries me. He's getting a little slower. I think I saw on Twitter someone posted Destino. He dropped him.
That's cool. Yeah.
Not to move forward, but they had the match on the 24th, and they made the comment that Hanma beating Naito is like Poirier beating McGregor on Saturday night. It was
that was a great reference. Yeah,
I don't know about that.
It was a big upset.
It was. I love how they built him up, though, because here's this veteran you don't expect, and that's nice to see every now and then. Yeah. So I actually didn't mind him winning that.
Yeah. So the main event, we had the junior tag match. ELP El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori defeated Kanemaru and El Desperado in their third defense to become the new junior tag champs. They went 23 minutes and 7 seconds. It was an ELP super kick with what's probably a loaded boot.
Yep, where what he did was he actually kicked Red Shoes, got him knocked out, and then that's when Suzuki Gun was going to go for the victory, but the ref was knocked out, so they had to wait for another one to come back in. And then that's when he connected with the sudden impact, as he calls it now. And then they picked up the victory, and then to mess around with everybody, he puts his foot up and then has the ref check his boot. And then here's a picture of them with the junior tag titles right here.
Oh, yeah, they're
a great picture.
Hanging them there. There's no euphemisms going on there at all.
Oh, no, not at all. And I tell you what, I'm with the Bullet Club, this title change, because I love El Phantasmo. I like Ishimori, what they do. Did you guys catch that spot where El Phantasmo, I'm laughing just thinking about it, did the backflip, the moonsault, and then did the Dermis Destroyer? That was great.
Yeah.
He did all that work on the top rope. Yeah. That was cool.
We had a lot of shenanigans during this match. We also had Kanemaru do the Eddie Guerrero spot at one point where he tries to fake the referee into thinking that he got hit with the title.
And see, here's the thing: was there a clear-cut heels and baby faces? Because really, the baby faces, I guess, had to get desperate. They were doing some heel stuff.
I was just about to bring that up. So, did you guys find it weird that Suzuki Gun, traditionally heel faction, has essentially been a baby face during this tour?
Yeah, they're still a heel, but in this situation, they're the good guys, because the Bullet Club's never going to be face. They're always going to be that heel faction. They're always going to do the dirty tactics. And then when you have two teams that do the same thing, you kind of have to have one be good and one be bad. It works out better in this situation where you have Bullet Club be the heels because of the steel boot that El Phantasmo's been in the Canadian wilderness chopping down trees with this sudden impact. So,
do you think that they're capitalizing on El Desperado's performance in the Best of the Super Juniors and starting to build him as a tweener?
Yes, because he's been working a lot in all these matches. It's been primarily him. They try to get him to be the one getting the pins. And then going from there.
Yeah, he's great. I love watching his work. I mean, El Desperado is another one that impresses me, stands out.
So like you were saying, Tyler, El Phantasmo has been doing pretty good work the last month. And he did pretty good work in this promo, too. He started to try to mention the 4 pillars of wrestling in Japan, and he totally botched it. I'm sure he botched it on purpose because... it was going to upset the crowd. But I thought that was pretty hilarious.
But Daniel brought up just some great points about him on commentary. I just love how he was. He threw a water bottle at Master Wato. Now, no, is that I may be fast forward, but it was funny. And Kevin Kelly's like, "How dare you?" I mean, something like that. They do great playing off each other. That's what makes me laugh sometimes.
And then he's like, he goes to the when the Evil Dictogo and Ujiro come out. He's like, come on. The first 2 pass him. He's like, come on, man. And then he's like, yeah, that's Evil. Sweet. And then they caught him back on the on the Switch side, and then he's just on commentary. You see when Naito came out, he looks at him, and then Kevin Kelly is going, "Oh, he's saying Buenas noches." And he's like, "Si, senor." And then he walks out. He's like, "El puto." And he's like, Kevin Kelly's like, "Don't say that." He was like, "Why?" He's like, "That's not good." And I'm like, oh, geez.
It's so funny, and I love Naito's facials too. He just cares less. I mean, he's just so nonchalant.
Yeah.
So we move on to Sunday, the next day, the 24th. We had Doki, Kanemaru, Desperado, and Suzuki defeating Uemura, Tiger Mask, Nagata, and Makabe. Kojima and Tenzan went to a no contest with Okada and Ospreay. Did you guys catch any of this?
Yeah, I definitely had to catch anything with the Empire and Kojima and Tenzan right now. I'm still loving that feud, especially seeing how the good guys are one-upping the almighty Empire with Ospreay and Okada. And I guess we're not seeing Cobb right now. He's not on this tour, but I miss his presence, so I love some Jeff Cobb.
We'll talk about this in a second here, the Kojima and Tenzan and Ospreay and Empire feud, I mean.
Yeah.
The next match, we had Evil, Dick Togo, and Yujiro defeating Yoshihashi, Goto, and Okada. We had Hiromu and Naito defeating Sho and Honma. And we had Master Wato, Tanahashi, and Ibushi defeat Bushi, Shingo, and Sonata. We had one of your favorite things, Daniel, some air guitar. We had a three-way air guitar. Ibushi wasn't really air guitaring very much.
He wasn't into it, yeah.
I like how in the picture we got the little perhaps Ibushi's already bored on there.
I stole this off Twitter.
Yeah,
that's classic. Yeah, he's not getting with it. Come on, it's an air guitar, man.
He's like, I got my own 2 air guitars right here with the belts.
That's true. He's a double champion. Why does he need to play air guitar?
Is Ibushi bored? Because it kind of seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he enjoying himself. I think he just enjoys holding the belts more than he does doing that.
Do you think Jay White stole all the heat out of that match that they had? Because the story of New Japan seems to be, where's Jay White going to go? And it's, they're taking his profile off. They're putting his profile back on. He's on these posters. Yeah. He's not in the posters.
And then you had when every time Gator comes out, you have Kevin Kelly. He's like, "Come on, Gato, tell me something." And he's like, "Gato doesn't look happy right now." And he's too quiet.
I think it's just an incredible work. I think we're all just getting worked. I think it's a clever way of doing it. It's keeping in the spirit of kayfabe, where it looks like he's going somewhere else, taking all his information, but he's going to come back in a big way. I'm not sure you guys will probably know the event, but he'll be back. I think we're going to see the Switchblade make an impact.
Is it going to be like a Triple H, we missed you so much, you're a face now return?
Could be, yeah.
Like after he tore his quad?
Yeah, it's either that or they could just be, it's their way of not mentioning it because they don't mention him by name as much right now, and it's just them putting everything off, changing everything so that because of this uncertainty right now, that this is the best way of them handling it, by making Gato all sad, missing him, but not saying it. And then if he comes back, they can play it off as just messing with you guys. He's back. Or if he does leave, then they can go in another direction. But it's kind of like a neutral thing right now, where they can have him just be sad that he's not around right now.
And I don't think it's over with Ibushi either. I think we're going to get a rematch. I know that classic we had at Wrestle Kingdom. I'd love to get your guys' opinions on that, because I think we'll see another match between those two.
I wouldn't mind seeing that, but personally, I want to see the build to. Of course, I know my guy Sanaa is gonna lose,
yeah,
but I'm thinking of the future, and I'm like, you got to have some sort of Ibushi and then have him go up against Will Ospreay. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's why I think you have the New Japan Cup. I think they're gonna have Ospreay win the New Japan Cup, and then I think that would be a perfect match for like the summer stadium match.
Yeah, and Ospreay's due, I feel.
I think if you put the titles back on Jay White, they should do it at Madison Square Garden if they ever get that show to happen.
They're trying. That's why they haven't done the whole Kenta and Moxley angle on there. And then that's a good thing to note. Yeah, we haven't seen Kenta on a New Beginning at all.
Exactly. He's been missing. And two, New Japan's no different than a lot of the wrestling promotions. You're kind of waiting to see when you can have people back in those bigger arenas to do these kind of matches and programs.
So I got the results for the next night. I watched it. Do you guys want to be spoiled? It's not very different from the previous.
You might as well give it to the crowd. So
let's give it.
Yeah, let's hear it. Come on.
We had Tsuji, Tiger Mask, and Nagata defeating Makabe. And Makabe defeating Jado Gato, El Phantasmo, and Ishimori. We had another Kojima Tenzan match versus the Empire. This one again ended in a no contest. Yeah. So they announced that at the New Beginning in Nagoya, that's January 30th, I think that's Saturday, we're going to get two matches. We're going to get Kojima versus Ospreay. That one's going to be no DQ, so there won't be any more of this no contest nonsense. We are also going to get, and I think this one's bigger news, is Tenzan versus the Great Okan. And you can't do a Mongolian chop in this match. But also the loser has to retire the Mongolian chop forever. And this is a big deal. Like, I refer to the Mongolian chop in my head as a Tenzan gimmick. Like, I've been seeing him do this Mongolian chop since he was on N64 Virtual Pro Wrestling. Like, this is probably the beginning of the end of Tenzan, I would assume. It looks like he's going to retire this year unless he somehow wins this match.
So we're not going to hear no Choppa Khan or whatever Kevin Kelly makes the reference to Shaka Khan with the Mongolian chop. I mean, we're not.
Unfortunately, we may not. It may be over with.
I'm through. Yeah.
What do you guys think of the Empire taking it out on the New Japan dads?
I loved it. It was a great way to get him some more heat.
So what do you think about Tenzan's retirement here, Tyler, as someone who's fairly new to the product?
It's an end of an era. I can already tell how revered he is, and it's a shame. But you get to that point where at least he knows it may be time. But he's impressive, though. I mean, I love this feud and storyline with the United Empire with the Great Okan, Will Ospreay, but it's a passing of the torch, don't you feel, with Kojima and all that whole. Yeah, you
can tell that Kojima and Tenzan realize that their days teaming up are numbered. And, they've been a historic tag team in New Japan, and they're clearly coming with an intensity, that
they're bringing
that this is probably the end for Tenzan. Hopefully it's not the end for Kojima, because I think he's got a couple more years left in him.
Yeah, and I want to see more machine gun chops. I love that spot. I mean, nobody can escape it. It's just intense.
And we know Gary wants to see more of the breadcrumbs.
Ospreay was calling him a bread-eating twat or something during these matches.
Okay, I didn't catch that. I'll have to go back.
I also enjoyed. There was a Ospreay interview where he just bypassed the media scrum and he just said, "Get fucked. I'm not stopping."
See, that's what I'm noticing, man. They let them, cuss pretty regular. I mean, that's something. Yeah,
the English guys get some leeway because the Japanese fans don't necessarily catch it right away. Although they're probably smarter than we think.
Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, they've got a smart fan base and passionate too. They really rival any fan base or the Japanese audience. I mean, I'm impressed by that fact alone.
So also on this day, Ishii, Goto, and Okada defeated Togo, Yujiro, and Evil. And then Naito and Bushi defeated Wato and Honma. Man, what a one-sided match. Wato and Honma. Dan and Tyler, in kayfabe at least, you'd have a shot against Wato and Honma, I think.
I'm not sure.
I
don't think so. Yeah,
maybe Honma, but not Master Wato.
Listen, he'll probably hit the headbutt on me. That'll be my luck. He'll finally get it. Oh, look at this idiot. He got in the ring from Tennessee and Homna. is got him with the headbutt, and I hope I pronounced his name right because I was writing it the N before the M sometimes, or the M before the N. So who knows?
N before the M.
Okay.
And it's a
Thank you for the help.
Kokeshi headbutt.
Yeah, that's what they refer to.
We also had Sho, Tanahashi, and Ibushi team up against Hiromu, Shingo, and Sonata. This went to a 30-minute draw. We didn't have enough time for this match. I like how they're mixing it up because, like I was saying, these Road to New Beginning shows have been kind of a slog. I like towards the end here, we're mixing up the finishes. We had 2 no contests. We had a 30-minute draw. I mean, at least mix up the finishes, which is what they're doing.
Yeah, I feel it gets monotonous at times. Yeah.
I think that's why, like, for this, maybe that's why they split up all the championship matchups on like 4 or 5 days, just to make something fresh and then to give something meaningful, because you're not seeing all the same matches that you were seeing. Like, it's going to end with a meaningful matchup, like he had the junior tag one. I think coming up is the Shingo and Tanahashi one coming up, and then they just every few days they're going to have a big matchup. So
normally this is where we have Fantastica Mania. It's when the CMLL wrestlers come over to Japan, and we have a bunch of shows with the Lucha Libre style. What's also kind of cool about it is a lot of these wrestlers kind of develop their gimmicks in Mexico while they're wrestling on excursion for CMLL, like Naito, Sonata's done some time in Japan. A lot of these guys have done El Desperado.
It did some time in Impact.
So, and normally that event is kind of panned because it's kind of more of a silly, fest, and it doesn't really develop any of the story. But man, do I miss it. Seeing these cookie cutter matches where we're just trading. It's like 50-50 WWE booking during this tour. Would you guys like to see the Fantastica Mania? Have you guys seen that?
I haven't seen it.
I saw a little bit of last year's. I did.
Yeah,
I'll be new to that too. I'll have to check it out just out of interest in what you were talking about, but it'll be my first time. So I have not got to see it yet.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun last year. We had Kojima take on one of the Guerreros for the CMLL title. It was
how cool is that? Yeah. I mean, you got a Guerrero that's already got name recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we also had one of my favorites, Duce Gardenia. They have a thing there called Exotico wrestlers. Are you familiar with what an Exotico is?
I'm not, and I've told people this is just Mike Tenay Jr. I mean, exactly. He knows all the Lucha Libre. I mean, it's an encyclopedia. I mean, it's awesome, man, because I'm getting an education being a co-host with you two. I mean, it's...
So Exoticos would be like Gold Dust, or what would be another Exotico? What's the guy's name in AEW who's teaming up with Joey Janela? Sonny Kiss.
Sonny Kiss, yeah.
Sonny Kiss would be another Exotico.
Exotic, yeah.
Okay, so
a lot of times they make the other wrestlers uncomfortable with their sexuality and then use that as a tactic, which when it's done right is hilarious. And I recommend looking up Duce Gardenia.
I'll have to look him up. But yeah, hey, Goldust, even though it was bizarre and weird, I mean, that's the gimmick. I love Dustin Rhodes' work, though. I mean, he still could work in the ring. So.
Yeah, and a lot of these Exoticos can too.
They're talented.
Do you got any promos you want to play, Daniel, before we move on to Strong?
Yes, I'm going to play the promo for our social medias. So once we're done, we will explain to you about all the social media outlets we have here for the buzz.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar, told you that I go far. Baby, it's crystal clear. I'm not a souvenir. I'm not an accessory. I'm a necessity, so come and check me out now. I'm a necessity, so come and check me out now.
Once again, you can find all of our content on social media on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter under the
I'm
hash.
just pointing towards my Twitter name.
I'm like, what? And I'm like, under the hashtag at WTB.com. That is WTBDOTCOM. And then you can also find us on Instagram. So check us out on all those platforms. Like, comment, and then check out all the content. And then give us a holler if you have any input on anything.
So another 3 good matches on Strong. We had 2 debuts as well. We had the Regal Twins defeating a debuting Kevin Knight and Jordan Clearwater, which I always love the Regal Twins. Kevin Knight looks pretty good.
Yeah, the Regal Twins impressed me the last week. Now, I only got to see one match, but going by the match they had, I think it was when Dickerson debuted is when I saw it, and they do some great stuff.
We had a Haas fight. We had Brody King defeating JR Kratos. I like both of these guys. They're solid hosses.
Oh, they're beasts, yeah.
You know how I feel about Brody King. So
we had one of my favorites, Young Lion Ren Narita, defeating Bateman, making his debut on Strong.
How did you feel about that match?
Yeah, is this the match you caught, Tyler?
Yeah, this is the one for me. I love these young lions. I'm glad you all were educating me on them because they are technical. They go back to the fundamentals. And Bateman does a great job too. His chops and the way he was kicking were intense, and so was the intensity of Narita. This is great. That's why, to be honest, I talked to you guys before we started recording this program that I prefer the Strong episodes compared to a lot of times the Road to the New Beginnings, because you're getting to see this new talent mixed in with the veterans, and it just gives you these very competitive sports-like matches in the presentation. I think that's what I'm getting, as far as the look and visual of it, and I'm just so intrigued and impressed by it.
I was impressed that they had 2 guys debut against each other, which was pretty nice, and then for it to be a good match was just even better.
Yeah, that was a great observation. Yeah.
Which Young Lions or which dojos do you guys think are progressing better? Is it the LA dojo, or their Young Lions looking better? Or is it the Tokyo dojo with Tsuji and Uemura?
I see. I'm going to be biased. I'm going to say the LA dojo just because I think the top guy right now is Clark Connors, because of just his. He has that. I don't want to say rage, but he has that intensity that he goes with, and then he just shows it where you go to Japan, and then I guess they're better at just being able to show what they're feeling, and then kind of like just acting. But I feel like overall, I feel like he's been the best ever since Carl Fredericks got promoted.
Do you got a favorite Young Lion yet, Tyler?
That's hard because Connors is a good name, and I like Narita and all these guys. It's hard because I see all the potential in them, but I'm kind of with Daniel. I haven't really been watching long enough, but I think the LA Dojo is really producing some top-notch stars, and I love the commentary team on this show too, with Kevin Kelly and what's the guy that does color? Alex, is it Kozlov? Kozlov, yeah.
And then you got to remember, one of the LA Dojo guys is stuck in Japan right now.
Well, it's Kid, right?
Gabe
Kid has almost been adopted by the Tokyo Dojo.
Yeah, because there's
almost no reason to go back anymore.
Yeah, he's been stuck in Japan for over a year because of the pandemic. He can't go home. Yeah, I actually just read an article on New Japan about that, where he has been stuck there all year. He hasn't been able to see any family or anything because of it, and he's at the New Japan Dojo now. Like they kind of had to, like, I wouldn't say forced to bring him in, but they've basically been training there and doing everything that way because he can't go home. So he said in a bad situation with the pandemic, it's been a good thing for him to learn a certain way from the New Japan style, and to be able to work there full time rather than being at LA dojo, then time to time go over to Japan like the U.S. wrestlers do it. They usually do they call it the tours, where they go over, come back for a week, go back over. He's there full time, 24/7.
And it's paid off. You can see there's a before and after photo in that article
Yeah.
you're talking about where he is way more jacked since the pandemic. He's put on muscle. Like, you can see it's paying off for Gabriel Kidd.
Yeah, and that's another name too that you all mentioned that I love his work too, and I hate that, but it makes sense with all the pandemic, like you guys were discussing.
I can't wait for Shota Unamo to come back. He's Red Shoes' son. He was John Moxley's personal
Yes.
young lion.
Yes, I remember that.
So you missed this, Tyler. When John
I did. I've missed a lot. Yeah.
When John Moxley, did his first run with New Japan, he had a match with this young lion, Shota, and he beat the crap out of him, but he liked him so much that he just dragged him everywhere he went from then on. So he kind of became like John Moxley's personal young lion.
Yeah, and then he would cut promos. He'd have him there. He'd be like, "Hey, what do you think?" And then he wouldn't say anything. He was like, "Oh, that's what you think? Okay." And
He'd
then
call him like, look at this panty dropper here. This guy's going to the top of the company. Like, he was really putting over Shota.
Yeah, you can imagine Moxley, man. We've talked about his promo work. It had because he can add the comedy but be serious at the same time.
So we got an Impact Wrestling episode tonight. It'll be tomorrow night as the viewers are watching this, but it looks like a pretty good episode. We got Ace Austin and Madman Fulton versus Alexander and Cardona. We got the Hardy Party making an appearance, so you get to see your Money Matt Hardy on tonight's episode.
Big Money Matt.
We get a Fire and Flava Fest, so Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz, they're going to be celebrating their championship. We got Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers. So yeah, we're getting both major brothers on this episode. We get Joey Doring versus Jake something, or Cousin Jake as they call him. We get Tennille Dashwood versus Rosemary. And I'm kind of excited for this. After Impact, we got Impact in 60. This one is featuring Madison Rayne, one of my favorite female wrestlers. She just retired. I was lucky enough to see her last independent match this summer at Warrior Wrestling. Do you guys know of Madison Rayne? Have you seen some of her work?
Oh yeah, the beautiful people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good example. Madison Rayne, yeah, very talented, and I hate to see her go, but understand there comes a point in your career and in life, just in general. But she will be missed for sure.
Yeah.
Any predictions for this night that the viewers can, now that the viewers have already seen this episode, they can see how smart we are. So you got a prediction for Impact?
I think you might get a thing with the Private Party and the Good Brothers. Maybe Good Brothers come out to just do some sort of commentary or something like that, just to add to the flavor of the segment.
I'm looking forward to the Eddie Edwards match taking on Brian Myers. I like that matchup, and Brian Myers can really go as far as the amateur background, and we know how the experience and what Eddie Edwards brings to the table. So that's when you mentioned that, my interest automatically went up.
Did you guys hear we're getting a new bro podcast? What was it called? The Z True Story, or I forget what it's called, but he's relaunching his podcast.
The Z True Hollywood Story.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. Yeah, I did not know that. Yeah.
I can't wait for that one. Yeah.
So what we have next, we got New Japan Strong on Friday. There's a debut on New Japan Strong. Who's debuting, Daniel?
Okay, I was waiting for you to ask me that. We got a debut with Leo Rush. He right now is the MLW middleweight champion. He just debuted on there and won the championship a couple weeks ago, and now he's debuting on New Japan Strong. They've been cutting vignettes of it, and then you've had El Phantasmo kind of making fun of him. But he will be debuting this Friday. It will be Leo Rush, TJP, and Fred Rosser against Hikuleo, El Phantasmo, and Kenta. And not only that, what makes this even better is that this is going to be one of the first announcements about it. But tonight at 8:00, I will be actually me and Drew will be interviewing Lio Rush, and check out the video that we made for the interview right here.
So yeah, as soon as you're done watching this, go to our Facebook.
I'm gonna actually play it right now. I got it just put on.
Let's break our chains. Poverty is the new devil. It's time to get paid. So let's move to the next level. Let's break our chains. Poverty is the new devil. It's time to get paid. So let's move to the next level.
How awesome is that?
He was gracious enough with his busy schedule to give us some time. So I'm looking forward to interviewing him, ask about his past and his present, and then see where he's going with the New Japan.
Are you going to ask him why he's ducking our boy Danny Limelight?
I could ask him if you want me to, or you can ask him yourself.
I guess I could in the comments. As everybody watching this now can go ask Lio Rush questions on, like you said, on our Facebook, on our Twitter. Go check it out. So we have Strong on Friday, like you said, and then we're right back on to the Road to New Beginning Thursday. We have the Saturday show in Nagoya. That's where Tenzan and Kojima fight the Empire. Tenzan probably losing his Mongolian chop on Saturday. And then again, back onto the road Monday. And that goes all the way till we do the Hiroshima show. So it should be fun.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to Saturday.
Yeah, I think Saturday's show is really going to be the big show. And talk about a beast. We talk about Shingo and Jeff Cobb. How about Daniel with these interviews? My goodness, everywhere I'm looking, there's Bakley, and I'm just like, that's the man. That's our co-host on the main line. I mean, he's just doing it all. I'm putting him over, sucking up to him so I can, if you guys need me, I'm here. I'll be honest with you. No, but seriously.
Well, you're the resident Kevin Kelly, so.
I don't know about that. Maybe one day. Kevin Kelly's awful good, man. He's awful good.
Any other wrestling thoughts before we say goodbye and everyone goes to watch Daniel talk to Lio Rush?
I'm actually looking forward to see what they do with this new tour that they're doing after New Beginning. It's called Road to Castle Attack. They just announced it back in December, and it's still going to be in Japan, of course, but it'll be interesting to see how they do everything with it, because it's a new tour, as they would say, and then see if maybe with it leading into the New Japan Cup, that they put a big feature on the United Empire.
Yeah, that is really interesting, and another show that I'm going to have to make sure I watch and check out. So I'm glad you guys bring this up because it helps me remember all this stuff.
Before we go, what do you guys think about the new Peacock for the WWE Network? I know you guys are both avid users of the WWE Network. Are you excited to get The Office with your WWE Network?
It's a pretty good deal for both sides, because right now, when you have just the WWE Network, it's $9.99 a month. But with Peacock, where you can actually, it's $4.99 a month with ads, and then $9.99 without ads. You get the Peacock content, and then you get the chance to order pay-per-views. Like you get the chance to get the pay-per-views, and then like Raw and SmackDown, which is a nice. It's a nice deal that will work from both sides. But then, did you hear about the big news about the NBC Sports folding?
I did. I
did hear that too. Yeah.
That's big. That's big news. Just for the fact that hockey, the NHL, and NASCAR are going to be moving to the USA Network, and as everybody knows, NHL is big on Wednesday nights. So,
Are they going to displace NXT? Does that mean
so the rumor is
AEW can raise the victory flag already? They've
so the
defeated
rumor
NXT and
so the
driven them
rumor
off of
is
Wednesday.
so the rumor is how are you going to do NXT and then Wednesday Night Hockey on at the same time? Some rumors have been going out that the Vince will gladly move from Wednesday to like a Tuesday or a Thursday time slot because NHL is the NHL. It's they've been around longer than wrestling has with Wednesday Night Hockey, so like that would be too big of a fight for him to go with when they could be just as big on a Tuesday or a Thursday, which they've done, or they could fight and then hockey moves, but then it's like that's all you know. That big thing with NHL is Wednesday Night Hockey. They're big in the U.S. and Wednesday, whereas in Canada, from what I think Archie said it's Friday or Saturday. That's the hockey night in Canada. So
I'd like them to move to Thursday, I think. Because what? You got Monday Night Raw. We got Tuesday Impact. We'll have Wednesday AEW. That could give us Thursday NXT. And then Friday SmackDown. It'd be the easiest thing for my schedule. What
and
do
then
you guys-
and then Saturday you usually have like a big New Japan show on Saturday.
That's true. I think, it's just a great business deal. And just the only thing I'm going to add is it makes sense because, Vince McMahon, the WWE's had that working relationship going back to the 80s with NBC. So,
Yeah.
and I think it's smart because it's a good deal, like Daniel pointed out. And why not? I mean, everything's going to streaming services anyways, even though the difference here was WWE Network was their own, but this is a good way to partnership with them, and they're making a killing. I mean, what was it, over $1 billion or something like that? I'm maybe mistaken.
It's $1 billion.
Yeah.
And for the people that aren't like big, huge wrestling fans, but that maybe watch like a pay-per-view here or there, or maybe they just want to watch the pay-per-views and that's it. But then they are big Peacock fans. They can get the best of both worlds right there.
That's true, and it helps that casual viewer. You just mentioned get more eyeballs on WWE's brand. So by watching one of those shows, like an Office or whatever is under the Peacock, streaming platform, that it's a nice way of cross branding, cross promoting in a sense.
So, have you guys seen that podcast with Renee Young? It's Oral Sessions, I believe it's called.
I've heard about it. Haven't seen it.
No.
Yeah.
Tony Khan was on it, and he was talking a little bit about his favorite matches. A lot of them were WWE matches. One of them featured John Cena and Brock Lesnar. Do you think that kind of adds fuel to the fire that Tony Khan might be interested in a Brock Lesnar AEW match or program in the future?
I think he was just being sincere with his favorite matches, and then I don't think Brock Lesnar goes anywhere because he has that relationship with WWE, and they're going to fork over the money no matter what, and he knows that. So if he comes back, he comes back. If not, maybe he's done, because he hasn't done anything all year. And if I don't see him, put it this way, if I don't see him at the Royal Rumble, then I know that he's not going to come back, because I don't think he'll come back and then, oh, I'm here in February, March, I'm getting a title shot. But I did hear that he's at the point where he doesn't need to be in the title picture, and he's okay from now on just like putting guys over, where he puts them over him, but then he looks good doing so. So.
Yeah, I think a prime example is Drew McIntyre. And back at WrestleMania 36, a lot of people want to criticize the Beast, Brock Lesnar, but he has put people over. And that's the thing. He's going to do what he wants to do. I heard Triple H say this. I read up on it. And, I don't think AEW, with all due respect, is a good fit for him. I'm with you guys. I think WWE is more the logical pairing for Brock Lesnar.
Tama Tonga also had a podcast on Twitch where he buried Michael Elgin. He buried the newish AEW Bullet Club. He also said that he would rather work with WWE than AEW. Who do you want to see Tama Tonga face in WWE?
That's a tough one. Yeah.
That is a tough one because he is part of a tag team, but then he does the diamond cutter RKO. So
I'm gonna go with Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
They've
Yeah,
been
that would be
talking
good.
trash to each other for a long time on social media. Tama Tonga, if you notice, every chance he gets to do a Roman Reigns like parody, he'll do it. He'll cock his fists.
I remember he
do a
did
lot
that
of
one.
those.
I remember he did that at a show before where he cocked his fist.
I did not know
walking out.
that. Yeah. Well, and I tell you what, he could be the guy that could give Roman Reigns a run for his money in this big Reigns heel turn. I mean, that could work. I like what you guys are booking there with the fantasy booking.
If you could choose one over the other, you get the AEW and New Japan partnership, or you get a WWE New Japan partnership. Which would you rather have?
I wouldn't be lying if I said that I wouldn't say WWE New Japan, because that'd be very interesting. If you could have like the styles over there where it's like Daniel Bryan against of course Kenta, because I never got to really see that because Kenta was on NXT, but those are two guys I would like to see, like a Roman Reigns over there against like a Great O'Khan or Jeff Cobb, or Jeff Cobb against Roman Reigns.
Okada Orton has always been my dream match.
Okada Orton,
yeah, I could see that.
Kota Ibushi against like a Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
See, these are interesting because you would love a show of just that. Even if they're in a partnership, every fan stream. Yeah.
On AEW, you wouldn't get as many dream matches, but you'd get a story completion.
Yeah.
You could have Ibushi and Kenny Omega complete their decade-long story they've been telling.
I think that's the thing AEW does have sometimes over WWE. You brought that up, that they at least complete their stories. The only thing that's drawing me to WWE right now, I'll be honest, is not even Drew McIntyre, and I'm a big fan of his, but is the Roman Reigns storyline right now. SmackDown, that's why I've been partial to SmackDown.
You're not an Alexa Bliss fan? Alexa Bliss is saving Raw for me.
I like Alexa Bliss. It's not a knock on her, and I love Randy Orton. There's a lot of talent on Raw that I like, and I saw a little bit of some good stuff. I'm just not.
You guys see my girl Nia Jax drop another wrestler on their head?
Yeah, that looked bad. I mean, not a knock, with all due respect. She's just had that reputation. I don't know.
She home mother.
Here's a match I would want to see: Johnny Gargano against El Phantasmo.
That could be fun. Yeah,
that would be entertaining, and especially. And what if they did it where Gargano's doing this heel thing, where he's playing a different type of heel? That would work, though. You could do that. Yeah,
the Way against the Bullet Club.
That's true. Hey, the Way. Yeah, why not? Hey, it sounds good on paper. Sometimes execution is iffy, but hey, knowing WWE and if New Japan, it could work out.
All right, that's all I got for you guys. You got any promos you want to play, Daniel?
Yeah, right before we get ready to go, here's the promo for our schedule for the week for our live podcast. We got many of them on here, but here's the promo.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Do we see the confetti fall? Be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Do we see the confetti fall? Be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you don't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by your locksmith. On the block throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look, what's the top dish? Tie game, through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot, swish. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Do we see the confetti fall? Be ready for war. This is how champions are made, but it never happens in a day. It's all hard work, but it's why what happens when we play 9 out of 10 times. I'ma lap you.
That is our schedule for the week at the Buzz. We got all those podcasts on here. We just added my podcast, Cage My IQ, to the weekly lineup, and then we added a little while ago Frozen Rope podcast, and then just on Sunday, actually, we added Whiskey Cinema back to the group, which was great. They had a great first episode. If you want to catch it, they did it on Prank Movies, and then this week they're going to be doing Netflix originals. So definitely check that out. Do you guys have anything to say before we get going?
Great show. Another 9.95, guys. I think we would have scored a little higher, but my daughter scribbled all over my notes. I couldn't read half of it.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it too. I think we could have had a 9.9 if Gary would have been a fan of Master Watto, but that's not here
That's not
or
gonna happen.
they or say. But we'll be okay with it. I'm okay with the
Last thing I
9.95.
gotta say is go watch Daniel. Go comment in our section here, ask us some questions, and then go watch Daniel interview Leo Rush and ask Leo Rush some questions too.
And
Right,
la-
and I've had a blast. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
And
all I'm
last
at.
thing I have to say before I get going is go Yoshihashi. Go.
He's reading your mind, Gary. That's the other guy you love. Yeah.
But I will talk to you guys later. I am D-Big. This is Tyler. And then that's Gary, the Yoshihashi fan. We are out.